work. Yep, it's working. Okay, yay. Technology, what can I say? So, Brian, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Everybody, I'd like to introduce you to inspirational.
Absolutely happy to.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Brian, can you hear me all
Yes, I
right?
can.
Okay, good, because I wasn't sure. It was sort of a delay. So I want everybody to meet Brian King.
Yeah, it
He
is. Yeah, it is breaking up. It is breaking up a little
Okay,
bit.
let's see. Says there's a problem with the internet. Hold on. I wonder if it'll be any better if I put my headphones on. Hold on. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, let's go for it. We're going to try it again. So, I want to introduce everybody to Brian King. He is an inspirational speaker and he provides entrepreneurs and companies with cutting edge marketing experiences. Okay, hold on a second. I am having technical. Sorry, Brian. Okay, let's try that. I think we're good. Okay, here we go again. So, Brian, I would love for people to get to know you. When I read your website, I loved your about page. I thought that was really beautiful the way you said it, and I would love people to get to know you in the way that you set out on your about page. So, can you tell us about your life and your experiences?
Well, where do I begin? My life has been mostly uphill. I mean, I grew up with undiagnosed ADHD and dyslexia. I have three kids with special needs. They're on the autism spectrum and they have ADHD as well. I was raised by entrepreneurs. And so I've pretty much had models for me that worked hard, persevered, were really heavy on integrity in their work. It wasn't all about the bottom line, it was about being of service to people. So I model that for my kids every day. And my oldest boy has been bit by the entrepreneurial bug, and he's very interested in what I'm doing. He's going to be a senior in high school next year. He's thinking about programs that would allow him to join me in what I'm doing. So it's essentially my entire life's purpose. My focus has become about how to pay forward all the help I've been given throughout my life with my various challenges and helping build a community where people can feel supported by one another. And as you probably know, I do that most effectively in cyberspace, whether it be Twitter or Facebook and so on.
Well, I've taken some of your things to heart. I love how you use humor. That was one of your marketing tips I heard when you he's Brian's a wonderful speaker. So if you haven't heard him, you can find him on his website. But I've heard him numerous times engaging speakers, and he's a dynamo. And I've learned so much every time you've been on the stage. So maybe you could talk a little bit about, how you personally connect with people using social media.
Well, one of the things I do is I'm extremely focused with what it is I discuss. So people begin to trust me because I'm consistent. And that's one of the hallmarks of trust is do they know what they're getting when you show up? If they don't know what's coming, if you're too spontaneous, too erratic, that makes people anxious about you. So one of the first things you need to do is be consistent. Another thing is you're going for relatability. You want to know the people you're communicating with so well that when you say something or you share a picture, it's almost like you're reading their mind. And they say that to me a lot. Oh, how did you know I needed that today? Or it's almost like you knew what I was thinking. Well, the reality is I share stuff that is in alignment with what my tribe cares about because I'm very strategic with who I attract. And the experience I'm going for is what we call self-identification, which is that's for me. Oh, that's just like me. That's just how I think. You want them to immediately say, what he's offering is what I want. We're going for those me too moments. Oh, Bride cares about this? Me too. How about that? And he likes to better himself. He likes inspirational quotes. Me too. The more me toos you get from somebody, the more they feel understood by you. And again, that reinforces trust.
So how did you start with this? Did you do marketing research? Did you talk to people, or it was or an intuitive process? Do you have a process that you can take people through?
I have somewhat of a process, but there is a degree of it that is developed over time by learning how to pay attention. Because when you're looking at somebody, how they're functioning on the digital space, you look for different things than if they were sitting in front of you. So some of it can be taught, some of it's instinct, but the things that can be taught is framing what your purpose is when you're out there. Because I know you've seen it too. There are people that will post about every little thing they're doing as though the world revolved around them. I just got myself a Big Mac, or I'm at the dry
Right.
cleaners. That's nice if people want you to check in so that you can promote their business. And I do that sometimes for people because I really believe in their service and what they're providing. So I'll give them a little plug, say, hey, I saw this doctor today, or hey, I just went to this dentist. And it's a wonderful way of helping them with the credibility that I've developed online. I won't do it for just anyone. I'll do it for people that I use their service. I've sampled it. I can speak with authority instead of just doing somebody a favor and it coming back to bite me later.
Yeah.
But the system overall that I use is to emphasize problem, solution, action. That's the formula. So when I talk about my own issues, as you know, I have chronic pain and a lot of other health challenges. So when I talk about it, I talk about it within the context of what am I doing about it.
Okay.
It's not just whine, complain, and oh, poor me, because that's just problem. I want people to see that they can take action. If they see something about my circumstances with my special needs kids or feeling burnt out at the end of a very long day, I talk about self-care. I talk about how wonderful the support system is that I have that allows me to keep going anyway. So I talk about those things in context so that they can see, maybe I could use that piece. Maybe I'm not asking for help as much as I need to. Maybe I'm not taking the breaks like I should. So there's always something in it that's empowering. It's not just wallowing in your own self-pity. It's, okay, I hurt today, but I still have responsibilities. I'm still accountable to people. What do I do? So I think about it again in those three steps: problem, solution, action.
Okay. Um,
That way I can go ahead.
oh, I was going to ask. So, do you post throughout the day then, and share what you're doing in that situation? Let's say you wake up and you're really in pain today, and you've got to get through it. So, do you post that first thing, or do you sort of spread it out through the day, or what do you do?
Well, I do a lot of automation, which is using different programs. One is Hootsuite. I'm a big fan of Sprout Social. And what they allow you to do is schedule the different posts you're going to make on the various social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, and you can select the day and time you want something to post. Because there are some people, and I used to do this too until I learned better, just whatever comes to mind, you just put it all out there, and then it seems like word vomit. You're just overwhelming somebody's news feed. And that's a good way to get them to stop paying attention to you. But if you have a way to space it out so that they see something of yours, they get a chance to spend some time with it, digest it a bit, then about an hour or so later, something else shows up for them to chew on a little bit. And that's a good, healthy pace.
Okay.
Any more than that is too much. And I've got clients throughout the day. I have to run errands. There's my kids I have to look after. So I can't really have an alert going off saying, okay, time to post, because who knows what I'll be doing.
Right.
But automating it allows me to do that. Then throughout the day, when I do have free time, I can check in to see what are people doing with that content. Are they forwarding it, sharing it, retweeting it, commenting on it? And then I can attend and show some gratitude for whatever they've done with it. If they passed it on, I'm going to thank them because it shows them that I appreciate them, that I'm paying attention to their efforts and the fact that they're helping me spread my message and being an active part of the community. But in terms of the whole pain thing, I may mention it, I may not. As part of attending to the people that follow me is getting a look at what their day looks like.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll look at my Twitter feed, I'll look at my Facebook feed, and I'll kind of get a sense of what's the overall feel. Are people feeling great? Are they enjoying the weather? If so, I'm not going to suck the wind out of their sail and say, I'm glad you're having a great day. I feel like garbage.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do
Okay.
that to them. Because I want the me too moments. I want to connect with them. So if they're in positive mood, I'm going to say, hey, isn't it great when you can get those days? I'm glad to hear you're enjoying it. So I'm validating their experience, showing them that I'm paying attention and that I care about their life. But if they're having a rough day and saying, this is so dreary outside, I wish it would warm up, then I might say, yeah, this cold weather really affects my joints, but thank goodness we have those good days that we can enjoy.
Right. Okay.
And I'm
That's a great tip for people
looking
to hang
forward to
on
the
to.
warm up tomorrow because I'll feel better and I'll be out walking the dogs. Yeah.
That's wonderful. So I know that you have these 4 keys to peak, productivity. What are those?
Well, where these 4 came from is because of my various learning challenges. I have a hard time remembering large sequences. So if anybody gave me 10 steps to anything, I'd remember maybe the first 2 or 3. And I had to be carrying a cheat sheet everywhere. That's just not practical. So when I thought about what could I base my life on that I could remember? What could I model consistently for my children, for my clients? What could I use as a foundation for all the work I do? And I was able to boil everything down to these 4 keys. And what they are responsibility, resourcefulness, resilience, and reciprocity. And when you think about it, everything fits into it. Responsibility is all about self-determination. It's taking ownership of your beliefs, your attitudes, your choices. It's blame-free living. If anything comes out of your mouth, if anything informs your action, it's on you. So no victimization there. Resourcefulness is all about assessing the people, places, and things that you surround yourself with, because those are the things that allow you to solve your problems. As I've wanted to grow my business, I took an inventory. Okay, who are the people around me? Where are the places that I hang out? Do I have the things that I need? If not, I need to jettison some things and bring some new things in. Because there are so many people that have this very poor definition of success, which is self-made. I have to do it all by myself. What you're basically doing with that mindset is you're saying, I don't want resources. I want to be a one-stop shop. Well, if you want to burn out, sure, head, do it that way.
I know for
But you
me,
must.
sorry, excuse me for 1 minute. I know, in my new book, The Creative Activist, one of the key elements is connect and collaborate. And I know
Yep.
as a solopreneur, as an artist and a writer, I've spent so many hours sitting in my house alone. I don't connect with people. And so I understand what you're saying. And that's part of the reason I started the community online, because there's so many other people out there, as you've found, who are like, they're doing amazing things and they're looking for support, brainstorming, even just encouragement. Wow, you did a great job today. And we don't get that if you're sitting alone in your office every day.
You're absolutely right. That's the 4th R, which is reciprocity.
Okay.
Which is we're all in this together. We've got to help each other out. We cannot succeed in a vacuum. There are some people, and I won't name names, some really big companies whose customer service is horrendous. But one of the reasons why they still exist is because they have a monopoly in their industry, because they pay off the right people to get into certain places. So you don't have a choice but to go with the lousy service.
Right.
It'd be so much better if you just were so customer experience focused that your brand became about referrals. People can't wait to brag about you and how wonderful their experience was and generate business that way.
Yeah, it's
And
more
the
about the
resilience
impact
piece,
you have rather
yeah,
than
go ahead.
the product. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Because if you're not in it to change lives, you're going to really have an empty existence. Because at the end of the day, okay, money is great, but if you're alone and people can't stand you, what's the point? But if you can be philanthropic, if you can donate to things you really care about, because now you have the money to give to the people who know what resources are necessary and can go and utilize those funds more effectively. So people say, money can't buy happiness. Really? Take some money and build a poor community a school and give them a state of the art computer. I guarantee you they'll be happier because now they're more connected to the world. Money buys you opportunities. It connects you with resources. So if you use it that way, absolutely it can buy happiness. The resilience piece, as you and I know, being solopreneurs, is the ability to take hits, get back up, and keep going anyway, because you realize that's part of the journey.
Right.
You've got to feel that resistance because that resistance tells you, all right, there are probably some resources I don't have that are going to allow me to push through this obstacle. I got to find out what they are. So now you go into a community like you created and you say, hey, I'm having this challenge here. Any ideas what I can do? Oh, yeah, connect with this guy. Download this app. Put this plugin on your website. It'll take care of it. So you leverage the reciprocity that you have to enhance your resilience.
Interesting. I also think of resilience in a slightly different way. It's the ability to bounce back from failure. And I think that is also part of the journey for everybody because we all have challenges and it's what we do with it.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to your original part about your mindset and taking responsibility for that. But I think as a culture, we're so afraid of failure that so many people don't even try. They don't go out there because, oh, I failed once, I'll never try it again, or they're afraid of being ridiculed, or their family's going to put them down, or whatever. And yet they have so many gifts and messages that they could share with the world, and yet they're afraid. So I
One
think,
of the Well, here's something that people really need to unlearn is the reason people fear failure is because they personalize it. They say, oh, I'm a failure. No, no, no. A failure is an event. It's not a person.
oh, I
I
like that.
think Zig Ziglar said that, or a lot of those wise ones. You also keep in mind, this is the best reframe that I've learned, is that failure isn't failure. It's feedback. It's simply information that's informing whether your action was effective in accomplishing your goal or not. That's it. It doesn't have to be celebrated as this catastrophic thing that somehow is a criticism on your self-worth. It doesn't have to be given that much emotional energy. You can just say, all right, I'm on this hunt to find the most effective way to get my result. And the only way I can find that is through process of elimination. So I'll take some action. If it doesn't work, I'll check that off. All right, that didn't work. Next action. It's just feedback. And if you look at it that way, you're collecting information of do's and don'ts. And the more you do it, the more effective you get at getting closer to getting it right the first time.
Yeah. So I would like to know, so who are some of your inspirations? Who are the people out there that are inspiring you?
Man, where do I start? First and foremost, my kids. My boys are my heroes because with all the challenges I've seen them go through, yeah, I had my own challenges, but it's much different to see someone else do it than it is to see yourself do it. To me, I do it. I keep pushing forward because to be a victim, to feel helpless is completely unacceptable to me. So I will not accept that position. When I see my boys suffering and I want to support them, let them know they're not alone. Back to the reciprocity piece. We're in this together, guys. I've got your back. I'm not leaving you. I'm not giving up on you. And I'm sure that's part of what empowers them. And to see everything they've been through and to still see them leave for school enthusiastically, come home at the end of the day with a smile on their face, enjoying life in spite of their challenges, that reminds me what I'm doing it all for. Because I'm modeling for them what is possible in this life. My other heroes are the ones that are generous. People in our everyday lives that maybe people listening might not know. Gail Brown, Barry Schimmel, Bob Reitblatt, some of the people that have taken me under their wing for no other reason than they see something in me and they want to help me succeed. The people that are like that just blow my mind, and I can't toot their horns enough.
I love that. That's great. That's great. So I'm a little bit curious about, you had all these challenges. What are some of the tools you use to get to this other mindset? I mean, most people would be like, and I understand at one point being a victim, and I love the way you had elicited your 10, and I wrote down my 10 stories, so it was like, that was very cool. And many of the things, it's like for me, it was like, it was a big lesson to learn actually that there are gifts in every challenge, and to reframe stories and things like that. And so, what are some of the tools you use to get there?
One of the first things I look for are role models in that capacity. I'm a big fan of autobiographies and biographies because they tend to be very balanced. You see the good, bad, and the ugly of somebody when you read their biography. But most importantly, you see the events of their life and what decisions they made about what it means. One of my favorite books of all time is called Man's Search for Meaning.
Viktor
You
Frankl.
familiar with that one?
Viktor
Yeah,
Frankl,
Viktor
of
Frankl.
course. Yes.
If anybody says to me, "Oh, it's too hard. I can't do it." If you were in this situation, you'd be mad too. I said, "Really? Have you ever read the story about the doctor that was in the concentration camp and watched his wife get carted off to the gas chambers and how he was starved all the way down to skin and bones and still decided to be happy?" If you can read that book and still tell me you have a right to be miserable because somebody broke up with you, then you've got bigger problems.
I love it.
Because his story is the quintessential example of you can choose your attitude no matter how bad the circumstances. So I can always look back to that. And on my most painful day, on with my biggest headache, I just got to think, Viktor Frankl.
I love it.
I have no right to sit here and feel like a victim when there were people who experienced probably the most horrific of human circumstances and still rose above it. I recommend that book to everybody.
That's great. That's wonderful. Any
Yeah.
other books that you recommend?
I look at some, niche specific books, like entrepreneurial ones. Anything by Seth Godin is just gold. If you're not familiar with him,
Good to
he's a
great.
very creative mind, very out, yeah. And Seth he's probably pioneered social media marketing in terms of realizing that we have people's permission to be in their lives and provide content for them. They don't owe us squat. We owe them. Let me think. Some other ones. There are so many to choose from. I share them every now and then on my Facebook profile. Brene Brown is another good one.
Oh, I love her work.
She
Daring
speaks. Yeah,
Greatly is one
she
of my
talks.
favorites.
Oh yeah, that book was mind blowing. And for anybody who hasn't read it, it was all about the power of vulnerability, of being human with other people. And if there's anything people can't stand, it's being phony. The sales pitch, the script. They want to see the human being they're going to do business with. And one thing that you know from my post is I put it out there. I don't pretend to be holier than thou or the king of the mountain. I'm just another person who's busted my butt to try and make my way through life. I fall, I get back up. I'm just like you. One of the things that maybe differentiates me is I don't quit, period. It's not an option for me. If the way that I did it didn't work and I've kind of run through what I know, guess what? I go into Ray's community or I go on my Facebook page and I ask questions and I say, hey, this is what I've done so far. Have I missed something? And then somebody will point me to a blog or a book or something else that they came across and it'll be just what I needed. So it's always looking for that one stone unturned, one more resource, one more introduction that's going to help me get where I want to go.
I love that. Thank you. So, what legacy do you want to leave?
The legacy I want to leave is more along the lines of rebuilding this sense of connectedness with each other, because our culture in particular is far too competitive. We're out to one up one person, knock the other person down, laugh when somebody else trips. We have shows that are all about laughing at somebody getting hit in the groin or falling off their bike. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. It's a term called Schadenfreude. It's from, I think, Gestalt or something. And basically, it refers to finding joy in someone else's pain. That sickens me because my life position where I am now is the direct result of having been helped. I simply could not be here with the help I've gotten and the help I continue to receive. So I can't look at somebody else's misfortune and pretend like that person's separate from me. That's somebody who I want to help because of how many times I've been helped when I fall. So what I hope to model is we're in this together. We've got to be a community. That's the only way we can all succeed.
That's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks.
So, how can people get a hold of you?
Well, the best place to start is my website, which is Brian, middle initial R, King, INTL, Brian R. King International. No hyphens, no underscores, just run it all together, and you'll find everything I'm doing there, including ways to connect with me on social media.
Okay, well, thank you so much for this interview, Brian. I really appreciate it. If you'll hold on 1 minute, I'm going to end the recording and then you and I can talk for a sec.
Sounds great. Thanks a lot for interviewing me, Ray. This has been fun.
Oh, you're welcome. I enjoyed it.